Taylor Taglianetti here with Valentina Ferrante. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
Well, I'm working on a production and a couple of shorts with writer-director Frankie Coppola. And I'm also going to be in a feature this coming fall, The Life We Chose, by my friends that I grew up with and his partner, Al Linea and Chris Vaccarelli. And I've been working with Vinnie Pastore doing some scene work. I just finished Streetcar Named Desire.
That's amazing.
Blanche Dubois.
So cool. And Maureen Van Zant, she was in it? Or?
And Maureen Van Zant took a liking to my scene, and she rehearsed with us. She came to our rehearsals, and she coached us, my partner and I, my sister Stella.
That's awesome.
It was very awesome, and they're very cool, giving, kind people. They donate a lot of their time to up-and-coming actors that take their profession seriously.
Now, you're a part of this, you call it a resurgence of Italian American actors and actresses. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about that. There's a group of Italian American Renaissance actors and artists that are completely existing and being reintroduced into the art of film and movie industry. And I think it's important for organizations and groups such as Frankie's theater group of acting, Frankie Coppola's theater group of acting, to bring this resurgence of Italian American artists back into the industry, because our culture has so much more than just mafia movies. Although who doesn't like a good mob movie? Everyone likes to watch a beautiful mafia story, a nice mob movie, but it's exciting, but there's always a backstory. There's always family. There's always drama. There's always comedy. And we bring so much to the culture through our beautiful food and family, the importance of family gatherings, and Italians are well known for their arts, beautiful arts, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, masters of science, doctors. There's just so much to promote, and I think that the movie industry and the television industry, casting directors and directors, need to be more aware of bringing authentic Italian American actors back into television and movie industry, because we have the authenticity. We're naturally talented and gifted and can promote our culture in a more positive way, and that's very important to me.
Tell me a little bit about where your family's from and some of the values you grew up with that you maybe incorporate into your acting.
So I grew up in the Bronx, in Country Club, New York, very Italian-American neighborhood back in the 80s.
Dion.
Yes, exactly. Dion on the Belmonts. I go to Arthur Avenue shopping every single Saturday.
Awesome.
I know everyone on Arthur Avenue. I know Gino from Gino's Bakery. I know Carmela from Adigio. I know Adigio from Casa del Mozzarella. I want to plug for them. But it was a beautiful life growing up in an Italian-American neighborhood. All of your neighbors knew who the kids were. And I remember coming home late. I was maybe 14 years old. I was walking home at 9 o'clock at night, and a neighbor saw me walking home independently by myself, and he said, "Valentina, does your father know that you're out by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on my way home." And of course he didn't believe me, so he calls up my father and he said, "Val, do you know your daughter's on her way home? She's all by herself walking down the block." Like, you looked after each other. You looked after each other, and you looked out for each other. My family is from Bari, Italy.
I went there this summer.
Oh, how did you like it?
It was absolutely phenomenal. I can't, like you said, Blanche doesn't leave you, Bari doesn't leave me. I'll never forget it. It was absolutely amazing. I so loved it.
So I grew up typical traditional Italian. Every Sunday, my father came from a family of 7 brothers and sisters. He was born in America, and my Uncle Dominic was the last 2 were born in America. In fact, they came from Little Italy. They were born at 36 Mott Street, where they lived. until in a tenement building, 7 kids and 2 adults in a tenement apartments back in the 1930s. And so back then, what did you do? You worked, you saved money. The wife stayed home, took care of La Familia, your children, your family, and they saved enough money to move to the Bronx, which they did. They moved to the Bronx. My grandfather became the first and only ice block company in the Bronx. And that's how far back I'm going, because there was no electrical refrigerators. It was all on ice blocks operated by, blocks of ice in the lower compartment of the refrigerator, just like on the honeymooners that you see. It's true. And that's where we went every Sunday. So there were 7 brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, and then all of my cousins, and they all have children. So every Sunday there was at least 30 people for dinner. And what did you do? Okay, so you walked up, they had a beautiful brownstone house in the South, which is now the South Bronx, but back then it wasn't. They had rounded cement poured stairs, the 2 lion pillars on each side, and you walk in, you go through the mausoleum living room with the wrapped furniture that nobody was allowed in. None of the kids were allowed in there.
Oh, it's so funny.
And then they had a beautiful, dining room where everybody sat, and they had the kids' table, and we had macaroni and gravy. That's how we were raised. That's what it was called.
You call it gravy?
We call it gravy.
Oh, I call it sauce. We'll let you pass.
Yes. But this was part of my upbringing. That's what it was called. And my aunts and my grandmother were in the kitchen cooking, and that's what we did every Sunday. And you were outside playing stickball with a broomstick. You were playing, handball off the front steps with a pink Spalding ball. My grandmother used to give me like 75 cents. I was maybe 6 years old, and she'd say, "Valentina, go around the block and get a quart of milk and bring back the change." And of course I did, even though I was scoping the candy counter. But the grocery store owner who knew whose granddaughter I was, the people would sit outside on their stoops or on beach chairs, and they would know who all the neighborhood kids belonged to, and they'd look out for each other. It was a beautiful life growing up like that.
And you're incorporating all this in your pilot, is that right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more.
So I'm also doing a pilot for writer-director Rocco Massini, who did the Joe Bacala story. Now he's coming out with Joe Bacala Part 2, which is a mockumentary on an Italian wannabe mobster who's actually Polish. It's Bukowski, not Bacala. Bacalowski is his real name, and I'm Cannoli Girl. I'm the long-lost love that's always been after Joe Bacala, but he's moved on to another Italian girl, Gina. And so the story unfolds about him coming out of prison and wanting to find Gina and reconnect with her, and how Cannoli Girl still wants to go after Joe Bacala. And so that's the transition part of the story.
I can't wait to see it. Is there anything else you want to let our members know about you?
I'm very grateful to have connected with Frankie Coppola and to be working on his future shorts. There's Italian comedy coming, there's dramedy coming. He has a wonderful group of Italian American actors, all from New York, Lower Manhattan and the boroughs. I'm very excited to be working with my friend Chris and Al Linea on The Life We Chose. And I just feel very blessed for the people that God's put in my path. And the only advice I could give to my fellow actors would be to always strive for greatness and always do your homework.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. So you're working with your friend Frankie, is that right?
Yes, Frankie Coppola.
Great. So
It's Capello.
Oh my God, what do you know?
How was that?